Hello, everybody, and welcome back. How are you all doing? This fine. What day is it?
It's a Wednesday, I think.
This fine Wednesday evening. How are you all doing?
I'm
You
so
having a good time?
stressed.
Are you?
I'm very
But
stressed.
this is the month of Christmas, LJ. Nothing but goodwill and cheer towards
Yes,
your fellow man.
all of these things, very good, very true. Also very stressful. So,
What's been going on, LJ? Anything you want to get into?
I mean, the internet last week was an absolute disaster. Let me see. Even then, I'm not sure if this is gonna work properly or not. So it's technically
We'll see.
it's like we're live. Hopefully, people are getting notification.
One can
Um,
dream.
Yeah. Of course, the software I'm using, OBS, is telling me that there are frame rate drops, so that's cool.
Yeah, let us all know how we sound. Let us know how the stream works. Just keep the feedback coming,
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much. Yeah, it's telling me because I swear, whoever made this latest OBS update, the Streamlabs update, needs to be fired. I don't know who
Oh,
you
boy.
are, but you need to stop doing this because you took away the thing that lets me know. Like there's like a little spinny wheel that lets me know. Oh hey, we're backing up to the cloud. Yeah, that's gone. And also, I can't make the stream information be the stream information from OBS because now it's stuck to where it says make a new event. I don't want to make a new event. I want it to stream directly to the channel, and you're not doing that. So that's why it kept on being goofy for me last time. All in all, this latest update for Streamlabs OBS has been a complete and utter dumpster fire. I'm very unhappy with it.
Tell us how you really feel.
I just did.
And true to form, as you know already,
That's the thumbnail. I
it's a
know.
tradition at this point. Let's just keep it. Let's just
No,
keep the
I'm not gonna
Biocraft
keep the
thumbnail.
Biocraft thumbnail. I
But
don't even know how to change that.
it is pretty weird.
I don't know where to
I'm not
go.
gonna lie. I'm fixing it now, but yeah, it just should be a tradition at this point. I'm down with this. Are you down for this?
No. I'm very not down for this. Anyway, everyone says that it's okay. So, again,
Well,
just let us know. If anything happens, just let us know, please.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, how have you
Well,
been
it's
doing?
nice to be able to hear you again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, After last week's complete and utter implosion.
Yeah.
That was very unfun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure more for you than for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was
OBS.
funny because last episode neither of us could particularly even understand each other.
Yeah, no, we were basically just having monologues one after the other because it was the only way to make that episode work.
I knew enough about you and your thought process towards things. I was able to generally follow along.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that that happened. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
so the issue, so I found out, because my internet has been giving me problems. And as everyone in TTV knows, I hook up my internet through an Ethernet cable. I don't do the Wi-Fi nonsense, because I think it's nonsense. And so everything is hooked up by cable. And so it started to kind of drop every few minutes. It would drop for about a minute, and sometimes it would drop for a minute, and then it would just drop entirely. It would just stop working, even though it said it was connected, but it wasn't connecting. Thankfully, AT, the wonderful man that he is, figured out a solution. There's a new Ethernet card, plugged in the Ethernet cable, and we're back to normal. Right now, the only thing that might be an issue is, ironically, Streamlabs OBS. Finish uploading to the cloud. Just to finish syncing. I want to pause the syncing. I don't like it. Like, great, you can sync later. I'm busy. Why can't you be like any other program that syncs things to the cloud, and when I'm doing something, you pause? Like Steam does that. Like Battle.net does that. Be like that.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So, that's a scoop, but we should be back. Meso.
Yes.
There are two things we need to consider. One,
Okay.
well, obviously we'll be doing our conversation today, but more importantly, we had some questions from last week that we couldn't answer because everything was just crumbling around me and I was about ready to kill someone.
We
So,
did, and I took note of them.
yes.
I think just to keep like the viewer base who want to hear our topic, I think I am because I was tossing around the idea of doing them first. We are gonna save those for the end,
Okay. Got
but
it.
we're going to do those comments first before we take new comments. It's gonna be what did I say, like 2 and 2 or 2 and 1?
I think you said four total, two and two.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've got those, so we'll do that later during the Q&A segment.
Okay. Fair enough. Good to get that out of the way. In that case,
Yes.
let's really dig into what we're talking about today.
Boy. Well, today we're breaking a little bit from the natural flow of things, though not really.
Not really.
There's kind of a flow if you follow a certain school of thought. So, our first episode, we discussed elitism in the Bionicle community. We discussed, what makes a true fan, which was just liking Bionicle, and how it plays into a lot of the bring back Bionicle debates. Last week, we looked at things more constructively, and we looked at the pros and cons of System Bionicle and how it would be handled if it were to come back in such a way. All with that mindset of, if Bionicle comes back, it could be done like this, it could be done like that, blah, 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 blah. Well, imagine, dear listeners, imagine if there was another way. Imagine if we did not have to necessarily rely on System Bionicle to get our Bionicle franchise that we love back to us. Imagine if there was a savior who could deliver Bionicle to us and in exactly the same form that it once was, with rich storytelling and cinematics. And let's talk about that possibility. That's right, we're going to be talking about Christian Faber's hashtag 14B 2020, or as the fan base sometimes runs with it, Bionicle G3, which is, but we'll get into that. So way back, a long time ago, 8 months
Time
ago,
before time.
in the time before time, there was Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
And on Instagram, on April 1st, 2019, Christian Faber made a post. For those who do not know, LJ, who is Christian Faber?
So Christian Faber is one of the co-creators of Lego Bionicle. He was brought on board onto the team to do a lot of the world building, the fleshing out of the environment that all the characters would be in. He did a lot of concept art. He never worked for Lego in the technical sense, like he wasn't a Lego employee. He was the art director for an advertising agency called Advance. And so Advance was brought on to work on this. He was involved very heavily. And so he had a huge influence on the direction Bionicle took, especially in the early years. But even more notably than that, its very foundation. Literally, the Matanui robot was based kinda, sorta off of him. He goes into it in an interview that he did with David C. Robertson in the book Brick by Brick, How Lego Rewrote the Rules of Innovation and Conquered the Global Toy Industry. I'm getting a lot better at that. And he's responsible for a lot of that very classic environment that we are familiar with, and a lot of the environmental direction that the series went. That's who Christian Faber is.
Makes total sense. On April 1st, 2019, he made a post, and it was of 3 letters. What?
I apologize. On April 1st, 2019, he made a post. Just watched Biocraft Chronicles. It's everything I wanted Bionicle to be. No, I'm kidding. Continue.
Oh my god. He made a post with 3 letters, B, I, and O, with a B that had some holes on the back side of it to where it almost looks like a 3. And he had a caption that said, "What if there is an undiscovered way back, a secret path to reset destiny? How many of you would join? Hashtag 14B 2020. That was all he said. And it got 1,813 likes on Instagram. I made a video about it, a news video update about his cryptic, teaser, which I got criticism for my word choice, but like if that's not cryptic, I don't know what is. And people were speculating what this would mean. A lot of people thought that he was working on something, but a lot of people thought he was just pranking because April 1st. He later made a comment a few days later saying, it wasn't a prank. He had to post it on April 1st just in case it didn't work out. And you can take that however you will. But posting it on April 1st was, I believe, the first mistake. Before we even get into what it is, I think it was the first mistake. Because instead of rallying people behind a unified vision, we had to spend a good few days in what is this mode, where everyone flocked to Instagram en masse. The creator of Bionicle posted bio. I wonder what this could possibly mean. And we had to wait for him to clarify in the comments, which he did proceed to do. He clarified that this was not a prank. This was an actual project that was in development on his side. It was not a Lego theme. It was not anything that had an official planned release date. There's a comment we have that includes all of this. It's not something he has funding for. It's not something that he's ready to do yet. But him posting it is a way to get as much interaction with the community as possible and then go for the funding, end quote, according to him. He even says maybe even the name has to evolve. All of these things and many, many more were clarified in the comments before he then posted on April 5th another letter in. So it says on. And he says there's only one thing to do after that response. This project is on from my side. And now comes the hard part and the leap of faith and airtime until it takes the right shape. One thing is for certain. This thing only got big originally because of your engagement, and it is made out of the energy of the fans. And that was all he posted for 6 days. From that point, over the last few months, we have received a drip feed of vague posting concept art pieces with accompanying vague captions. Some of them are new. Some of them are not. Some of them are actually old concept art that he's reposting with a new caption, or in some cases, multiple captions. One of which is the one with the volcano. You can go ahead and put up. The next one he did. And the caption for this says, "You have been dreaming for an eternity. Amazing stories of light and darkness, shaping your mind like a stream carves the rock. You know all and nothing, the moment before waking." Which, correct me if I'm wrong, is a pretty clear reference to the first Bionicle comic.
It's clear enough.
Kopaka.
It's clear enough to suggest there's someone that's floating around. They've been asleep a long time, having dreams, which is, basically the first line of Kopaka's thought process.
Yeah. And from there, it actually starts to fade out of substance. That was one of the last pieces of concept art that we got that really had any sort of substance to it. And even then, it didn't really have much. He posted 2 more, which I'll read for now, maybe more later. But before we actually get into discussion, here's 2 more pieces of context. One of them he posted with the just the B in a circle, the 3B, whatever. First came the mythology, then the struggle for survival in the Middle Ages, and thereafter the Age of Discovery, when present meets future. Is 3 going to be?
Oh my
gosh. When hindsight shifts to foresight, mind of machines. Hashtag next to machines. Hashtag 14B 2020. Next to Machines being Cryoshell's next album, the band behind Bionicle, and Bionicle music. And then lastly, he posted a picture of a canister on a beach nice old sandy beach with one of his longest posts of the entire batch. And he says, B is a mindset, a quest for mystery and adventure. The future is an open ocean. Everything is out there, and you set the course. This is not an attempt to dictate or make a takeover of everything you know from the past. It is to inspire thinking ahead. The future is my client, and these are legendary times with great possibilities, and I am going to sail the deep waters. I don't want to tell you the destination. It's already in your mind. Hashtag 14B 2020.
All right, great.
And with that,
in that case, in my mind, the destination is the sun. There you go. Great. So he's taking us to the sun, everyone, because that's what's the destination in my mind. Continue.
that was the last real message of any substance. He's posted more since. It's just all like it's just all vague posting, that is more memeable than anything else. Even though nothing really topped is 3 going to be. I think that might be the most crazy one. Like there was one where he literally just posted a circle with Antarctica in the center.
Oh,
I wish I'd gotten that, but
dang, man, I forgot about that one.
That's one of the most egregious. The most recent one being he reposts this picture of the canister on the beach, but with a quote from the Baraki commercial overlaid over it. But the only way of ever finding out is to go there and see for yourself.
Yep.
And that is, in its totality, the entirety of this project, what I just laid out to you. Sure, there's a few other pieces I didn't mention. There's a few other posts that I didn't mention, but in totality, that encompasses hashtag 14B 2020 as we know it right now.
That brings you up to speed. Now you understand.
It's a bunch of concept art, a bunch of weird captions, and a whole lot of nothing specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
LJ.
Yes.
You take the reins on this.
Okay.
What do you make of this?
I make of this exactly what I made of this back in April. It's garnering interest for his other project, his primary project, known as Rebel Nature. Now, Rebel Nature is a project that focuses on... It's very obviously a project that is focusing on the environment and environmentalism. That's very clearly the goal. One of the projects under Rebel Nature is kind of it's like an umbrella for a bunch of different things under it. And one of the primary aspects of that is it focuses on a gal who's basically raised by machines in this post-apocalyptic world, air quotes, but basically it's just a world that's kind of crumbled down because of pollution and stuff. And now all of the world has kind of mutated and changed because of it. It's adapting to all the plastics and the pollution and whatnot. And so this gal has to kind of be raised by robots and survive in this world.
Yup.
And all this has been is one of the Rebel Nature projects. And I'm going to tell you right freaking now, it has nothing to do with Bionicle. Okay? That's it. And the reason I say that with such certainty is not because I know, it's because he hasn't told us otherwise. Nothing he has said has suggested that, yes, it's absolutely Bionicle. Because what he's doing is he's using his clout as someone who worked on Bionicle and co-created it to garner interest from the Bionicle fans and community members and so on and so forth to funnel toward Rebel Nature, which is fine in and of itself. It's all right to do that from the standpoint of someone who wants to garner interest for something he's working on. But guys, it's not Bionicle. He doesn't work for Lego. He's not working with Lego. He doesn't work for Advance. Advance isn't, as far as I'm aware, working on this. He's working with CryoShell, but CryoShell isn't working with Lego either. So he isn't working with Lego at all. He's not allowed to use the Bionicle IP. He's not allowed to use their characters. So far as I'm aware. Most of the concept that he has been using is of his own creation after being involved with Bionicle. And everything that he's been posting, it's vague, and it's intentionally vague. He's not going to tell you what it is right now, because what he's trying to do is garner your interest. Say, hey, look, carrot, carrot's on the stick. It's on the stick. Gotcha. And then you get invested in Rebel Nature. If you're interested in Rebel Nature, that's fine. None of this is a critique of Rebel Nature. I don't really know anything about it. It seems like a very ambitious project. That is what it is. The problem, to me, isn't really Christian Faber in this scenario. It's the community and how they have been the most gullible group of saps I have seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah, but before we get into that, which trust me, we will, you might be asking, but LJ, how can you say that it's not Bionicle? He's literally using Toa canisters. He's literally using the lettering. He's using the wording, bio. He's using quotes from the commercials. He's using, in his description of some of his posts, he says, gathered friends. He's referencing Kopaka. How could it not be Bionicle? And I would say that there is one very specific reason why it is not Bionicle. There is one very easy to understand reason why it's not Bionicle, and that is because he has never said the word Bionicle once.
Didn't he say it
not
once?
In any. I do not believe he did.
In a reply to someone.
I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, prove it to me, please. Someone find it.
It was in an Instagram reply. He said Bionicle once, but he said it saying it's not Bionicle. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, fair. And then that would still count. He's always been very cryptic. B3 Bion. He's tiptoeing around saying Bionicle because Faber is smart. Contrary to what a lot of you might think, that he's some rambling madman or some crazy person. Faber knows what he's doing.
He's been doing this a long time. I mean, again, he was the art director for an advertising agency.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing by launching it in this manner. What he is doing is trying to create a spiritual successor to Bionicle that fits within the realm of his Rebel Nature universe. His own wording on his blog about Rebel Nature from a post made on March 19th, 2018. Rebel Nature is a full-blown IP in development across multiple media platforms, including app games, VR experiences, music, museum, and science projects, as well as a live-action feature film, Waveborn, set in a near-future world where technology and nature has joined forces and humanity's become the endangered species. I don't know about Waveborn. I don't know if it's still going to be a film, but quite recently, Rebel Nature was greenlit for a series. I'm not sure if it's going to be live action or animated, but it is going.
I suspect animated. There we go.
What happened?
I actually have no idea. But you said you don't know if it's going to be animated or live action.
Yeah, but it has been greenlit. Rebel Nature is a thing. Rebel Nature is out of the idea phase. Mm-hmm. What he's doing here is creating a spiritual successor to Bionicle using Bionicle imagery and theming and concepts that he can use as part of his Rebel Nature universe. Because in his mind, he sees a lot of similar theming. You may or may not agree, but he's drawn numerous comparisons in his replies to various posts, and he's made a lot of points about what Bionicle means to him. And one of the things that he keeps coming back to is artificial intelligence and its role that it has to play in things. And that makes perfect sense when you consider this one story of Rebel Nature, which is a human being raised in a world of robots, being raised by robots. Robots have taken over the world, because humanity's died out. They're an endangered species. He literally said in reply to my video that was an opinion piece on this matter several months ago, he said, "Dear TTV, thanks again for the second very thought-provoking video about 14B 2020. I would love to come on your show and explain my plan and strategy. I would prefer to do this after some meetings in the coming month where I'm pitching the project. Just so you know, all the inputs and comments we brought to use in this initial phase, and I will try to display all the twists and turns that goes into creating something like this. This is an adventure in itself. This is pure world building, and no single person can make it wide and deep enough." On another note, I want to say that Bionicle, so fair enough, he does say Bionicle, has a very important role to play in these years approaching AI and intelligent machines. It goes beyond product and earnings. What are we going to put into the heads of these machines? What will be their mortal foundation? Hopefully not greed. We are the great beings giving them artificial life and sending them into the future. Who knows where they will go? So fair enough. He says Bionicle in the comments when he's replying to people, but you'll notice that never once in his actual posts has he used the word, because he knows unless it is a Lego sponsored project, Lego's not going to sell him the rights to Bionicle. Lego's not going to loan out the rights to Bionicle to be part of this expanding universe that they may or may not have control over. Lego owns the Bionicle IP. If he pitches this to them and they're like, cool, let's make a Lego theme based off of it, that's one thing. And if that happens, then sure, he probably could still use the Bionicle name. But that is one possibility out of many, many, many different ones. And he does not seem too concerned about Lego's involvement.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that whether they go for it or not, he is going to move forth with this project. So when you say people are like running with this, it's because this is literally all we have is concept art and captions. And I see so many people saying, I can't wait to get the G1 story back and finally find out what happened to Marindar.
Holy crud, you are asking the wrong guy.
I can't wait to see the Telemari be cured from their brainwashing, Mr. Faber.
Okay.
I can't wait to see the conclusion to the Spherus Magna saga.
Are we getting into this? Are we finally...
We're getting into this.
Okay, great. In that case, I have an immediate comment I want to address from
Go on.
Fanbile in the YouTube live chat. The only thing I would agree with Eljay is that the new Bionicle could be something not related to Lego. That's it. What?
Bruh.
I'm going to be very blunt when I say this. You don't have Bionicle not related to Lego. Because just like you don't have Ninjago not related to Lego, you don't have Bionicle not related to Lego. You want to know what these two things have in common? Lego owns both of the IPs. The intellectual properties that they are under Lego's ownership because they were made by Lego. They haven't given them away. They haven't run out. They're no longer Lego property. They are still under Lego ownership. And so if Lego is going to make Bionicle, they are going to make Bionicle and no one freaking else. The reason I find that comment so particularly baffling, and it isn't one of a few, it's one of many, that growing sentiment, is that it's not a thing. What you said doesn't exist. It won't exist until you show me an article that goes, Lego has sold the IP for Bionicle to whoever. That's not going to be a thing. There is no new Bionicle without Lego. That doesn't exist. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah. That's just one of many, like, just hilarious comments.
Did you want to get into the many?
I'd like to get into the many. Do you have any of you that you would like to start with? Because
Yes.
I have a few that I would. Oh, okay, you go first. I'll find mine.
Okay. So like a day or two ago, Christian Faber posted, I think to Facebook, I don't know, I didn't see the Facebook post, I saw this in the Bionicle subreddit. He posted a picture of him in a mocap suit, and he said, I promise you, if this really works out, none of you will be disappointed. I wish I could reveal more now, but that would jeopardize the whole mission. And two comments on this Reddit thread really stuck out to me. The first one was going, he keeps putting us on our toes. He's probably doing the Scrapper bot, but he's definitely doing something Bionicle related. 2020 will be a big year for him, it seems. Definitely.
Definitely.
Okay.
He
That
said
one,
gathered friends in the Instagram
of
post.
course.
That means it's true.
The second one is the worst of these two. Quote, I've kind of been thinking that he's going to redo the story. Not necessarily a reboot, but just making slight changes to account for inconsistencies in the original story. This could include character appearances that were originally driven by the sets, and therefore made certain characters unrecognizable. The examples that first spring to mind would be the Mystique and Fantoka, and Huki and Nika. And then he animates the whole thing, as the post suggests. Are you out of your ever-loving mind? What kind of a fantasy world are you living in, and where's the door so I can join you? Are you kidding me? What? Based off of him in a mocap, you think he's gonna redo the Bionicle freaking story and make updates to characters he doesn't own for a line he's not involved in anymore that has ended for a company he doesn't work for and has not worked for, but only worked with under another company that he also doesn't work for? What are you saying? And the problem here is, this isn't an unpopular sentiment. This is a growing belief that he's going to make another Bionicle, and he's going to somehow improve it. You want to know, if you want a continuation for the story, if you really, really want to see what happened to the Toa Mari, if you really, really want to see what happened on the Red Star, Greg Farshty works for Lego now! And he's on the TTV message boards. If you want to ask him a question, you can ask him, and also throw in, hey, by the way,
please continue the story.
I'd love to see the resolution. I'd like to see
He
it
even said on the Eljay Johnson show, he was literally like, yeah, I mean, I'd be open to continuing.
Yeah.
I feel like the grief period's over. I'm just not sure if people care anymore because it's been so many years. Instead of wasting your time on pipe dream expectations and hopes, do something constructive.
Right? Like, don't pester Greg, of course, but you can leave some constructive feedback. All one person needs to do is open a topic and be like, hey, do we want this back? A bunch of people go, yeah, I'd want this back. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
No, I need mocap accurate golly Mystica that looks
I need Huki and Nika that's tan and burnt orange.
That's what Faber's doing. He's gonna save everything.
He's gonna show us what happened to the Toa Mari and the gold skin. Yeah, all right. Gardus, who was he? Where does he fit in all of it?
Gardus mocap.
Shut up. That's gonna take like 5 people to be a Gardus mocap. It just this
is lunacy.
It doesn't make any sense. Why? And the thing is, again, this is very smart of Christian Faber. He's garnering, he's attracting people to his project, and then at some point, you're all gonna see, it's like, this is 13B 2020, boom, it's Rebel Nature. Oh. And you're all gonna sit here like, darn you, Faber, I have no respect for you anymore. When really, you're the fool. Because you bought into it, and you didn't think, well, maybe he can't do a Bionicle reboot or continuation because he isn't involved with it anymore.
And I mean, look, your mileage may vary. As fun as it is to laugh and scream and meme this up, don't get me wrong.
It is fun.
I do not care if it is a spiritual successor to Bionicle. That does not mean that I hate it. On the contrary, I am more than willing to check it out. If it's made by somebody who gets what Bionicle's about, that uses similar concepts, maybe even a similar aesthetic, but it's a new story with new rules that isn't just a carbon copy like G2. If it has a different name, I don't really care. I'm more than willing to accept it. I might even like it better if it's something new. If it's something that evolves the formula for a modern era. I'm not saying I would, but there's a chance that I could. I am not one of these people who says that, this is not a G1 continuation, it's garbage. So me saying that I think that's what it is, don't get me wrong, I'm more than willing to support it. In the initial video, I was more than willing to support it. I still am. But I have to call out, and just like I said in the opinion video all those months ago, there are people who do not share those beliefs. There are people who have this romanticized version in their minds of what this thing is going to be. And if it is anything less than that, if it is anything other than Bionicle as a Lego theme in Constraction, continuing the G1 story by Christian Faber with a movie or a full-fledged TV show on Cartoon Network, they're going to say, but you lied to me. You misled me. Your advertising tricked me. You tricked yourself. You bought into
it. Hey, that's the thing that gets me. Like, there are people, so many people, that legitimately think Bionicle is coming back on account of Christian Faber. It's like, you have to stop. You just had, like, early on, yeah, he was posting some things that were kind of cryptic in the sense that he wasn't revealing a whole lot. And yeah, I would say they were very Bionicle-centric because he was alluding to that. Obviously, he was trying to suggest, hey, remember Bionicle? You remember I was a part of that?
Yeah.
You want to see more? Well, maybe you can.
But he hasn't clarified a lot, but he's clarified enough to say that he's using theming. He's using theming, but not the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It just... At this point, we have learned enough. We have enough context clues, and we have spent enough time learning about this to know it's not what you hope it's gonna be. That's not happening, and it's not coming. It just isn't. I love this comment from Smackroid in the YouTube live chat. If my Huki Nika set is not far from my bed... Oh, wait, hang on. My Huki Nika set is not far from my bed. If I don't wake up on January 1st and see Huki in brown and tan, I'm rioting. Right? Like, he gets it. He understands.
He understands the importance.
Yeah.
I'm going to read another comment that, like, it's my comment that made me have a reaction similarly
Let's
to
hear
what
this.
you did. Because someone replied along my line of thinking on Reddit. It was like, Faber, I love you to pieces, but if you want people to care about this more, you're going to need to drop the secrecy about what you're even talking about. If you're working on a spiritual successor or a direct reboot, just say as such. That's all you need to do. And somebody replied and said, it's probably under embargo, but honestly, I'm loving the cryptic messages. Leaves a sense of mystery. All will be revealed in time. Patience is the first step in becoming a great Glatorian.
Oh, gosh, I forgot about that one.
Oh, I'm like, man. Bro.
Hang on, I message you. Do you want to hear an impression?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Do you know what that impression was?
Delicious Kool-Aid flavor.
Bingo! Yeah. It's whoever that was drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, like... There were more comments along those lines amidst the Reddit thread, which did have a nice balance of opinions on the different sides. Another one along similar veins. Let's see if I can find it. I lost it. Oh, there we go. I understand people's frustrations toward Faber being so mysterious about it, but last time they straight up said they were rebooting, we got a very underwhelming result. I'm open to any new approaches to bringing back Bionicle. Plus, people who don't know Bionicle, but know Christian Faber, might be getting hooked on these puzzling posts. Do pray tell, Reddit commenter, if you decide to listen to this, Faber is a noteworthy individual. I don't make any claims to the contrary. I've argued on behalf of him being a noteworthy individual in the past. But what exactly is this subset of people who know of Christian Faber but not Bionicle, who would be hooked by these puzzling posts, as you so call them, enough to make it worthwhile over simply being direct? Bionicle is Christian Faber's claim to fame, as Coco says in our patron chat. Like, that is what Bionicle is to him. He has not really done much outside of that yet. He clearly has ambition, and he's marketing Rebel Nature. It's clearly going somewhere. It has a show in development. But those are people who follow him and who have followed this project as a result of Bionicle and the role Bionicle's played in the last 2 decades of his life. There is no benefit to doing it this way other than, number one, the aforementioned intelligent advertising of roping people in, or two, if he did it how I initially wanted it done, would be very beneficial. A very clear and direct community crowdsourced opinion project where he polled the Bionicle fan community on different aspects they would like to see in a spiritual successor. What attributes to Bionicle matter most to them? Would they follow it if it wasn't sanctioned by Lego? Would they still follow it if it was a movie, a show, etc.? The core tenets of the story, etc., 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 and actually make it a community thing. But the way it's being done now, it plays into people's hopes and dreams a bit too much for my tastes when they get detached from all semblance of reality.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad I maintained this thought process the entire time these were going on. Like, all of these teasers are happening. I'm like, maybe we should just wait and see. Maybe we should just hold off on our excitement and see what he's doing, because it's pretty clear he's not working with anyone who actually works, who actually can make Bionicle happen again. You know? It's like, just wait a little bit. And everyone's like, no, he's doing it, okay? Okay, he's doing it. And then there's a subsect of people that they say, he's just posting art, okay? It's just harmless artwork, alright? Just let him post his artwork. And those people are also pretty dumb, because it's clear that it's not just artwork. It's very obvious.
They look at the pretty pictures, but not at the words and the comments and the caption.
He's just posting his artwork, okay? No, he's advertising. For what? We don't really know yet, but it's an advertisement.
Yeah.
And listen, if Mr. Faber listens to this, I mean no ill will or disrespect to what he's doing. I think that whatever he's working on is incredibly ambitious. I'm happy that it's progressing, that he's doing something with it, that clearly progress is being made. That's great. My critique and my criticism is of the community who is buying into this idea that it's definitely Bionicle. It might be inspired and influenced by Bionicle, but it will not be called that. You're not getting another Lego line, and you're certainly not getting a completely new series or a continuation. It's not happening.
I'd say there's about a 5% chance that it could be Bionicle. That Lego could be like, all right, man, you want to prove yourself? Come be the Kevin Feige behind Bionicle 3. And they bring him on to reboot the series again. I think there's a negative 50% chance that it's a continuation. That's where I draw the line in the sand. I'm like almost entirely sure it's a spiritual successor. It's partially possible it could be a hard reboot. There's no way it is a G1 continuation just because it's Faber.
Yeah.
And people thinking that it's going to be because he used a quote from the Baraki commercial. It's like, come on.
It's silly. It's silly. People need to stop this. They need to take a moment. And I understand you really want Bionicle back. And to that I have two things to say. One, you should have bought the sets a little bit more then. And two,
agreed.
And two, you're going about this the very wrong way. You want Bionicle to be... If you want Bionicle back, call LEGO customer service respectfully, politely, and say, hey, just to let you know, I would like to see Bionicle return. Email them as well, again, respectfully, politely. Hey, I would be interested in seeing Bionicle back. I would buy more products under that line. You know, show viable interest in it. That's how Ninjago ended up not getting canceled. 2, if you want Bionicle to continue from Generation 1, TTV message boards. Okay, it's board.ttvchannel.com. You have to be 13 years or older. The account is free. We have a subform. It's called Ask Greg. Greg Farshty is there. Sorry. He's there on the boards. Thank you. He'll answer questions. If you make a topic and be like, hey, I would really like to see where you were going with those serials, then go for it. You know, make the topic, say, hey, I have interest in seeing the serials continue. I appreciate your time. And then if other people want to go on and support that and be like, yeah, I'd like to see them too. I'd like to see more. Show some interest. And that is a method. Again, respectfully, politely. It's just, there are avenues, appropriate avenues to take. I mean, heck, we've already gotten past the point. I can't forget about this. Like, if you want to see sets on store shelves that are under the Bionicle name, there are a slew of projects on Lego Ideas that are Bionicle projects you can support right now. We already got quotas through. There are plenty more that you can go to and be like, support. Bionicle, Toa and the Temple of Time. Bionicle, Matanui Rising, Bionicle 20th Anniversary. Tahu,
UCS Tahu.
Yep, 20th Anniversary UCS Edition, which doesn't include Bionicle in the title, which might be a little bit of a misstep, but you know what? Heart's in the right place. Bionicle Toamata. You know, there are projects that you can support. So go support them. That's an appropriate avenue. We really pushed heavily for Sakotas and it got through. But that doesn't mean you have to stop. So,
my biggest problem with all this is that people can prefer whatever they want. If people want a G1 continuation, number one, like you said, there's a guy who can do that. Faber's not the guy who can continue G1. If you want G1 continued, talk to Greg. But primarily, if people prefer that approach, if they don't want a spiritual successor, if they don't want a hard reboot, that's fine. But approach this within the boundaries of realism and common logic and realize that by setting yourself up for that expectation, say what you will about Faber using Bionicle imagery, he's never purported that it was going to be a G1 continuation.
yeah.
By setting yourself up for that expectation, anything else that it could be is going to be wildly underwhelming for you. Because there is no way I will stake my entire YouTube presence on this. If I'm wrong, make me the laughing stock of the internet forever until I die. There is no way that Faber's 14B 2020 is going to pick up with Marindar fighting the Toa, Mari that have been freed from their brainwashing on Spherus Magna and the gold-skinned beings' various antics.
Yeah.
There's zero way that is a thing. Now, you can extrapolate it further and be like, there's zero chances Bionicle, period. But there's more options past that point. There's more possibilities. But people get so hung up. It's just like with the system Bionicle discussion from last week. People get so hung up on what they want. The specific thing that checks all their boxes, that compromise becomes a foreign concept. And that's what's the most damaging about hype culture and expectations. It's the Bionicle community's seeming obsession and desperation to keep G1 exactly how it was and bring it back into the modern era. Nothing can be changed, nothing can be altered or modernized or adapted. It must look just how it did. It must be written by the same person. It must come out on store shelves with the exact same set designs, except maybe with gear functions, and it must pick up right from where it left off. There's no harm in wanting that. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And independent of anything you might take umbrage with Faber's approach to this, of which you certainly could, I know I do, I wish it was more specific and more concentrated and less vague, but he is trying to do something new. It's very clear. And he's trying to do something that will please Bionicle fans. Look at it from that way. Try to keep an open mind and be like, I'll check out whatever it ends up being, even if it's not called Bionicle, even if it's not a G1 continuation. I'll still check it out, and then I'll make a make a conclusion whether it's good or not based on me checking it out. That's all this should be treated as. A cool project by somebody that gets why Bionicle was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the subject, or do you want to move on to the comments?
I mean, it's a shorter discussion, but really,
That kind of
that's
sums it up.
basically the core tenets.
Yeah.
Like, we can argue for an hour about whether Faber is some guy or not.
Meso, you know what I meant.
You want to do that again? You want to do that again?
I don't. Gosh dang it. I
Some
said
guy Faber.
Christian Faber, in the eyes of the Lego group, is some guy. He hasn't worked with them for years. He hasn't done anything with them for a very long time. He doesn't work for the company that he worked with. He's just a guy who worked on a project from a very long time ago. But Christian Faber, as a guy, is obviously an influential, very creative, very skilled professional. That's what I meant. And oh my gosh.
I think you're a hater.
Okay, bring up these questions, Meso. Before I use the next comment chain to strangle you.
Okay. Let me see. So I'm gonna do the patron chat comments first that I got. We didn't get to any of them like at all.
Correct.
Did we? Oh boy, the internet really did.
I think we might have gotten a 1, and then I was like, all right, no, we can't do any more. So,
well, as you might be interested in knowing, your internet's been absolutely perfect.
Excellent.
So even with the stream, it's
happy.
holding on.
Thank you, AT. Thank you.
AT's a legend. One day, AT, if you hear this, be on a podcast again, please.
Please. Okay.
So the first comment's by Sakota. He asked last week, on December 3rd, he asked, do you think a new Bionicle generation would need a TV show to sell its story?
Yep.
Or would kids today also enjoy other media? That's the little catch-22.
Okay, yeah, no. I think it should have a show. However, I think it needs a series. It needs a series that is given an appropriate level of respect. Is that the right word? An appropriate level of attention.
Budget.
Budget, attention. Because I don't want to hastily say no, nothing else could ever work. Because Hidden Side has a series that comes out every week on the Lego channel. And the views are pretty consistent. 271,000 views from 1 month ago. 169,000 views from 3 weeks ago. 190,000 views from 3 weeks ago. 209,000 views from 2 weeks ago. And 109,000 views from 1 week ago. And then 11 hours ago, 33,000 views. So it's on track. Like, it's doing pretty well, I think. I would assume. So I think it just needs a series with an appropriate amount of attention. Because G2 that was not an appropriate amount of attention.
No, most definitely not. My opinion is, I think that Bionicle could succeed with anything depending on what your level of success is. That threshold changes person to person. Because, is Chima considered a successful theme? To us, we might say no, because who cares about Chima? Who remembers Chima? What's the legacy of Chima? But I would say that Chima fulfilled its planned runtime. It concluded its story. It had gigantic waves of sets with tons of sets every year. It had system and Constraction. They were all unique. They were all well thought out models, and had a lot of episodes to its name. So is that a failure? I would still say maybe simply because it did not leave behind a lasting community. But Lego determines what's a success or not differently than us fans might. For a lot of Bionicle fans, for Bionicle G3 or whatever to be successful, it would need to have like a massive budget. It would need to at least equal G1's life, so 10 years. And it would need to become a pop culture phenomenon. That would check the boxes of what people want it to be. Easy stuff. And I think to do that in the modern era, there's only two ways to do it: either a TV show or movies, or a movie. I think that's about it. You either do Bionicle the show, and it's just like Ninjago, and it's just as good as Ninjago, and it becomes just as popular as Ninjago, or you do the Lego Bionicle movie, and you release it in theaters, and you tell the story that way, which is much more unlikely and much more pipe dream,
and much harder to pull off,
and much harder to get like mainstream appeal. I don't think that Bionicle can really succeed with web shorts. I don't think it can succeed with just comics or the occasional graphic novel or books in the modern era. I genuinely don't think it can establish its identity and make a name for itself in the same way nowadays, unless it has the equivalent visual media that its peers do in terms of Lego story themes. That is what I genuinely believe, show or movie. The only other thing that could maybe tell the Bionicle story and help it be popular just as much is something that's equally unlikely, but it's been pipe dreamed for many, many years by many, many people, and that's Bionicle, the RPG game. If Lego released a full-scale, actual video game set in the Bionicle world that was like Skyrim or whatnot, where you're on the island, there's a story, you have different races, you be different races, and you go through the story helping out villages, like Monog, but an actual game. Because that could have longevity that extends beyond regular Lego. People play games nowadays a lot more than they did back during the day. Gaming as a medium has evolved dramatically. I think that could potentially do something, but they're not going to do that. Lego doesn't do that kind of stuff. That's not what they're about. So, in summary, yes, I do think it needs a show. I think that's the most realistic thing to hope for. I don't think it's unrealistic at all. A lot of things get shows. I'm surprised Hidden Side does not have one, but the web shorts are very good. They're certainly better than G2's were. Yeah, that's a yes.
Okay.
Next comment is from YouTube, and they ask, is from Lady Heat. She asks, why does Lego fail with Constraction, but Gundam and Zoids succeed? And you could extrapolate that to be, Gundam, Zoids, Transformers, anything that is mech or action figure oriented. Why is that still a popular medium, but Lego can't do Constraction?
Wait.
Do you have any thoughts on this?
Repeat the question one more time.
Why does Lego fail with Constraction, but Gundam and Zoids succeed?
Okay. This is a little bit of a misnomer that Lego failed with Constraction. I don't know why this is a popular point of view, because it's not really accurate. Additionally, Gundam and Zoids succeeding and Bionicle failing are in two totally different spheres as to what success and failure means. Yeah. And it's exact. I think Diggy puts it very well here in the patron chat. It's a completely different market. Bionicle does try to break into the action figure market, but at the same time, it is still a building toy. It's a constructible action figure. Zoids and, what was the other one? Gundam?
Yeah.
While they're technically constructible action figures, they're more constructible like models. They're more like a model plane than they are like a toy that you really play with really hard and like a Lego toy. They're far more model-esque. They're definitely a lot more almost statuesque in some instances. And they're focusing on two different groups of people. Gundam and Zoids are focused on much older fans of those properties. people that are far more serious about model building than they would ever be about building with Lego. Lego is aimed at a young audience, and as such, it is designed in a way to cater to a younger audience. That's what all Lego is. Obviously, it's accessible by older audiences, but at the end of the day, it's still aimed at a much younger group of people than Gundam or Zoids would be. And so, Gundam and Zoids have been around for decades, just simply decades, and they also have far-reaching branches to advertise those two properties: shows, movies, comics, books, all sorts of different things. Bionicle, at the end of the day, is still a Lego theme that will only have one narrow avenue in which to advertise, and that's through Lego avenues. It's going to be far more constrained and far less mainstream than the two other properties would be. So, they're not really that comparable, I guess. It's kind of sort of apples and oranges here. They're aimed at two different groups. They're aimed at two different age groups. And they've just been marketed so very differently. And they're kind of sort of self-sustaining. There's nothing else competing against them. They're their own thing. Lego lines compete with Lego lines. So... And yeah, that's why I can't really say, oh yeah, the other two succeeded and Bionicle failed. That's I don't think that's the right lens to look at it through.
I think that's a very well thought out breakdown. I'll have my answer approach a different facet, which is I can't really speak to Zoids or Gundam as much, but I can speak to the why did Lego fail with Constraction side. Because I agree it's a bit of a misnomer to say that Constraction failed, considering it's been a property for like 20 plus years.
No,
Maybe just right at 20 years.
About 20 years.
About 20 years exactly at this point. So like if that's a failure to you, then I don't know. However, I do understand what people get at when they mean that, because Constraction is dead. And post Bionicle G1, it has not exactly had the best run of things. We had Bin 10, a forgettable wave of garbage tier simplified sets. Hero Factory, a 5-year experiment test bed that petered out into 3 unresolved cliffhangers and then just fizzled away and didn't really leave much of a fandom. Chima Constraction sets, which were pretty cool, but completely supplementary. Superheroes Constraction sets, which were reviled by pretty much everybody, almost unanimously. And G2 and Star Wars, which have good sets, but Star Wars delved very quickly into clone set territory and then had an unceremonious end where they canceled 2 planned sets mid-development after pictures had already leaked. And G2, which we all know what happened with that. Hashtag sales were fine. So, I definitely would say that Constraction is a shadow of its former self compared to the height of its run in the early 2000s to 2010, where Bionicle was a household name and Constraction was a form unto itself that, love it or hate it, received a lot of attention every year, and Bionicle was a very high budget theme. Since then, it has not really. And the seeming abandonment of CCBS in favor of Mixel joints, which are more unified with system, does paint a picture that, while it might not have failed, Lego has decided to move on from it. And if it was a booming success, then they wouldn't have chosen to move on from it. And I think that, to answer the question, why did it fail? I think it is for one simple reason: perceived incompatibility, which is not true. All through the years, people have been like, you can't mix regular Lego with Bionicle. You could. You very obviously could. People do it all the time in mocks. It's not hard. CCBS was arguably even easier because it worked with the aesthetic a bit better of bricks. But general consumers do not see Constraction figures and immediately make the association that it's Lego, because Lego has a very clear, definable aesthetic to it that most people just don't associate. And I don't think it was helped by the fact that Constraction, unlike other things in Lego that look different, did not have a sub branding that was officially recognized and featured on boxes like Technic or like Duplo or like things that fit outside of the usual brick and minifigure template to let consumers easily know, hey, this is another thing, because it had a sub branding Lego Technic, Lego Duplo. Instead, Constraction just lived and died by the theme name. You're like, Lego Bionicle. Well, what is Bionicle? Back in the day, it was a household name. People knew what Bionicle was. That's why for the longest time it was the Bionicle system. But then they introduced CCBS or Constraction, these terms that they never did anything with as far as marketability is concerned. I think it's a tough sell. I think it's a tough sell to look at Han Solo Constraction figure or Rey Constraction figure with their horrifying head sculpts and their, cookie cutter design that really doesn't leave much to the imagination or creativity, and get people to go, hey, I want that. I definitely want that character from the movie that I love that is a human that looks like a robot with gears sticking out of their back and visible through their torso and skeletal limbs with like pinholes through the middle. It's tough. It's tough for consumers to relate to it. Bionicle was cool robots and it had a lot of marketing behind it. That's why it was successful. Their modern attempts at Constraction a bit more hit or miss. That's my tangent.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
Next comment, which I thought was funny, is from Scorpion Strike, who was here last week. Longtime patron returning. He says, how's TTV doing these days? I haven't kept up in a while. Well, I'm glad you asked, Scorpion Strike. Please be sure to follow us on Twitter at the TTV channel and the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com, because Copa is almost here and it's going to shut down our traditional way of interacting with people, which, as people might imagine, is kind of a bummer amidst many other things.
Yeah.
But we're still here, and we're not going anywhere for the foreseeable future, if ever. Hopefully never.
Yeah, though I will say that right now it is kind of the Meso and Eljay channel.
This is true.
They have a few extra guests on Brickfeed from time to time. Maybe a TTV podcast whenever that happens, but
we got to do one of those soon.
Yeah, but other than that, it's really just the two of us. We run the channel, so
essentially. This is true. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the weekly Knack and Jay Bionicle discussions.
Yeah.
Because those are going to be the main content for the next 6 months, podcast-wise.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, thanks for still checking in, Scorpion Strike. The last comment I basically want to touch on real fast was from Anonymous Sour Cream. Is how successful do you think Bionicle would be if it led as a system theme in 2001? And my answer would be not as well, I don't think. I think part of what made Bionicle so unique back then is because it deviated from the Lego standard. That was during a time where there was they were in dire straits. They were really going through a lot of turmoil, and Bionicle being a bold new thing that was outside of their comfort zone that had a unique identity to it, I think is one of the reasons it became so popular. So I do not think if it had launched as a system theme, it would have been as immediately phenomenon inspiring, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree, because Lego was obviously in the late 1990s and early 2000s. They were throwing new concepts at the wall, trying to get something to work, trying to do something different. And some things really did work, like Bionicle, but most of it did not. I definitely feel like Bionicle was lightning in a bottle, because it did a lot of things really right, and it stuck, and it was capitalized on. At the same time, I don't remember what system themes were happening back then, and I'm afraid that because the system sets were being so experimented with and toyed with, and not to the same standard of quality that a lot of them needed to be, you probably would have just had another one and done attempt, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Mm-hmm. This is true. That's my belief as well.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, those are all the comments from last week's episode. So I now beseech all of you, give us some more.
Yep. Give us a few
Give
more.
us some more comments on the Patreon chat and in the YouTube live chat. We'll read some of both.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Pretty much about Faber, about Bionicle.
Oh my gosh, we got one. We got a question. Oh my gosh. No. Diggy asked in the patron chat, how you guys doing?
We doing.
Yeah.
I think December's been a little stressful for Eldra.
Yeah. I think it's been stressful for both of us.
Yeah, that's true.
It hasn't been the most fun of months. But,
We're getting along.
yeah. It's going on. So.
Catsapar! Question, have you heard about the new Overwatch event? I'm kidding. Please ignore this. I do not ignore this because I'm very invested in the new Overwatch event, actually. I've been playing it all day.
He is
because I need to get my skin.
He's lying
I
to
need
you.
the skin. I need the skin. I need the skin.
No, yeah, sure.
I don't even know what the event is.
Yeah, basically.
All right. First actual comment. It's from Mid. Good old Mid Blue. Says, do you think Faber should call Bionicle a fan project?
No.
No.
It'd be
it's not.
So, two things worth mentioning. First of all, Fanonicle is what we're calling it. The community is calling it. 310N is what he has called it. The Onicle, that's an addition from us. It's not the official title. Huh?
I like Bionicle.
I know, but just to clarify, that's not what Faber's calling it. And second, a fan project would imply that he's making a Bionicle-related project, which he isn't.
Mm-hmm. At most, he's making a Bionicle-inspired project.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's pretty cut and dry. Now from YouTube, let's see. Oh boy, there's a lot of stuff all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'll do this real quick. Matu Art, hey Matu, asks, do you guys frequent the r/Bionicle Lego subreddit? Yes, I do. I peruse.
Check it basically every day.
Yeah, same, though as friendly as I might be with the guy who runs it, I do find that some of his staff are very, very flexible people and very impressive gymnasts, is the way I'm going to put that. You can interpret what I mean by that, but it's not a polite thing to say.
Philip Cardio asks, will you do content on the Rebel Nature show when it comes out? I would say it depends. Traditionally, our channel is very Lego focused. We pretty much do only Lego stuff. A lot of the non-Lego stuff we've tried to do over the years doesn't really garner any kind of attention, which is why we made the TTV Nerf channel for our video game Let's Plays of non-Lego related stuff. I would say that if Rebel Nature does come out, if it is an actual story that is worth delving into, if it's more than just surface level stuff, and most importantly, if we all like it, I would say there is a chance. But it would depend on a lot of variables whether or not we would cover it. And we're not going to know until it comes out, basically.
Yeah, I don't think that we will be going over it, but we don't know.
Yeah, if it wows us, it's like, oh, this is the best thing ever since Bionicle, then maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Next up from the YouTube chat, what would you guys like to see in a spiritual Bionicle successor? Just a good story.
Yeah,
I'm not picky. I'm really not.
I don't know. I don't really think about this because I don't put a lot of time into thinking about spiritual successors to Bionicle.
Yeah, like Ninjago is a spiritual successor to Bionicle. You know what it has that makes me enjoy it? A good story. That's all. Like Bionicle did have a lot of stuff going for it. It had a cool aesthetic and a great world, good atmosphere, compelling mysteries. But like at its core, at its baseline core, if the story wasn't interesting, then I'm not gonna care about it. You know, like Chima was a cool theme, but the story wasn't interesting, so I didn't care about it. That's the baseline engagement for a product. So long as there's a sophisticated story with depth worth getting invested in, preferably a story that aims upward, then I'm willing to give it a chance.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. And real quick, Lady Heat made a comment: spiritual Bionicle successor, complete financial failure. I I mean, what? No.
What's the context of that?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm sorry. I'm sure it was a joke. I just don't get it.
Nice.
No.
Okay. And flip back to the patron chat. Leo asks, "What's something you would have liked to see as an official set during the Bionicle system playset waves?"
Kenny Nui.
Codrex.
Both good options.
Even though it would have been bootleg because it's round.
Mm-hmm.
It looked weird. But yeah, Codrex and Kenny Nui, pretty much. Bam. There we go. I have an amazing comment from Gear Grinder 48, who I know is just joking. Don't worry about it. I've got it. Because August 10th is Bionicle Day. 14B 2020 means the 14th day of the 8th month in 2020, since the day comes before the month in European calendars. Yes. Epic.
Other people actually believe it.
Nitro Bunny. Has anyone considered continuing the G2 story? Maybe fixing a few of the issues with it. I would say continuing is not really something that I've ever seen. Redoing, yes. Retooling, repurposing, rebooting, whatever word you want to use, taking it from scratch and reworking it, yes, plenty of people have done. Even redoing some of the elements in it to make it more cohesive. Actually continuing it though, saying like, okay, so from the journey to one, this happened. I haven't seen many people do. I'm sure somebody has in like a fan fiction, but generally why people aren't too interested in doing that is because number one, they don't really leave you a lot of room to play off of future adventures. They would have to, with the way the story ended, they would have to either rehash Makuta because he very easily could still have minions that he could send out to do things, or come up with some entirely new threat out of nowhere. Really not a lot of room to continue the story.
Yeah, no. Ouch.
And number two, there just isn't interest because the foundation is rotten. How do you build on that world of confusing non-rules and crisscrossing, characters and non-existent arcs, and the Toa and the stars again, and all the prophecies have been prophesied. There are no more prophecies. Like, I don't have any interest in seeing that continued.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there's too much that's been done already. Make a new thing if you're going to, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh boy, Sharnak in the comments.
Oh, hey.
Yo, Nak and Jay wins the second comic maker revolution.
Oh, no.
I found my old terrible Chimoru comics and I'm all ready to go. Man, that is the fact that you're actually here brings a smile to my face. That's an old member of the VZP community, and one of our initial chats where we all met each other. I always love seeing the old faces. LJ wins the comic maker revolution.
It's not happening. I'm sorry, Sharnak. I'm sorry, okay? The closest we have to it is Ven continuing his comics on the TTV message boards, But I am fortunate enough to have all of my comics scrubbed from the internet on account of Majhost going kaput.
Boy.
I still have them all, but they're probably going to stay with me.
Can I at least see the Thanksgiving one? Since
Will,
I'm in it.
will you post it online?
No. Well, I mean, it'd be online on Discord, but that's about it.
Would you share it with anyone?
No.
Meso?
No.
Meso?
No. I want to, but I won't.
Alright, fair enough. Anyway, yeah, sorry everyone.
Thank you for coming out, Shernick. Jared Jr. says, would you guys rather see Faber's darker Hero Factory story, or would you like to see him continue G1 Bionicle? What he's referring to is Faber's made the infamous post that was like, yes, the HF story that you all got was merely the precursor to something much more crazy and darker that was better than G1 Bionicle in a lot of ways, and was this amazing story. And I look forward to sharing more about it with you one day. That was posted like 5 years ago. And was since deleted. So would I love to see that mythical god tier Hero Factory story? Yes. Do I think that such a thing exists? I'm very skeptical. And as far as continuing G1 Bionicle, like I said, Faber was responsible for a lot of G1 aspects. He didn't write it. If you want to see G1 continued, talk to Greg. So neither, but more Hero Factory.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add.
Let's see. Oh my god. Can Faber just, from Smackroid, can Faber just reboot Bionicle to make sure Matoro doesn't die? That's all the community really cares about. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Okay. Umatu Art. Do you guys think you'll reboot/retool your Bionicle concept in the future? I'd be down to make some art if it continued. Well, first of all, thank you. That means a lot. I know you don't agree with a lot of the decisions we made, but your support and your work that you put into it was a large part of the reason why it turned out as well as it did. Being able to visualize a lot of concepts that we were actually trying to get across. You and Sakota were probably the two most influential people among many others, but you two definitely like have the best portfolio of stuff that if I ever want to convince people System Bionicle works, I just link them like your art and Sakota's mocks, and then boom, that's all you got to do. LJ, I know your answer is probably whatever happens with it, I'm not interested. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I was never really that heavily involved, I don't think. And I will absolutely, at this point in time, die on the hill for no Shiwa. I still think that's a very dumb decision. And
oh boy.
One rooted in pandering and not actual... It's not... It is ill-founded in its intent. So I think maybe if you either just kept the original characters in the sense that, you know, they're their names and they are how we recall them from either G1 or G2, or just scrap the characters and make up new names to follow a new group of people, maybe I'd be interested. But right now I have too many other things I need to prioritize, and I don't have any major attachment to Bionicle.
Makes sense. I mean, look, here's the thing with me, because it's basically me and Var's project at this point since we ousted, He Must Not Be Named. I don't want to like tip, Var's hand, even though I know I'm totally doing it, and he'll probably yell at me for it later. Var brainstormed a way to continue it behind the scenes. It was like half a year ago at this point. I'm not gonna say like how specifically, but the idea has not been abandoned. We put a lot of work into Bionicle. We put a lot of work into the world. We put a lot of work into the characterization and the story. And we had like a multi-year story plan mapped out. The problem was we never got to that point. We were so hung up on the minutia and the pointless debates and the endless expositing of our world building in the public atmosphere instead of just writing a story Bible and releasing it and letting people make of it what they will. We never got to the story point. VAR has a good way to continue it. It's not going to be all the crazy fanfare that it once was, and I'm not sure if it will ever come out. But he did several episodes of what he was planning. It was pretty good. So maybe one day, like the concept has not been abandoned, but I can't promise when, if ever, simply because the future of TTV is in flux. What with the whole Copa thing, we're trying to like get a read on what our channel is going to look like, in the next year or so. We're going to see how Copa works after 6 months and then like reevaluate where our channel stands. So the last thing I want to do is say, hey, we're definitely going to do Bionicle again. I'd say it's a hard maybe, and I appreciate your offer to do more art. And if people want to see the Bionicle story as we planned for it, honestly, the best thing you could do, if anybody out there still likes it, would just be to leave VAR a comment and give encouragement. Just be like, this was a really cool thing. I'd love to see your spin on it that Meso hinted about. I'd love to see this story actually be realized, because the main reason VAR was so demotivated with it is because of all the negative backlash that it got, which say it's understandable, say it's not justifiable, whatever, but it obviously would put a damper on someone's passion to continue working on it. So that's what I'll say.
Fair enough.
Few more questions and then we'll wrap. If you had to pick, Armin Reeves, if you had to pick between brick built, minifig system, and Constraction for Bionicle, assuming any of them would succeed, which would you two pick? I would pick Constraction because I like Constraction, like I said last week.
Yeah, no, same. I like
Constraction. If I could have it,
that's what I'd go with.
If I could have it, I'd want it. It's my realistic side that wants System Bionicle and would still enjoy it. But, the 9-year-old in me who lost his mind when he saw the Toei and Nika in the Lego catalog for the first time, like, that guy still exists and he still likes his Constraction figures.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. And one more comment from the patron chat from Mid again. Speaking of playsets, how do you guys think Carta Nui minifigs would have been handled if the sets continued in 08? Badly.
Exactly how they were handled the year prior in 2007.
Badly. Maybe with a jetpack if you'd been lucky, but probably not.
Yeah.
Probably no jetpack.
It would be haphazard, is what it would be.
Yeah. So it would not have been wildly different. All right. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good place to wrap it. Do you have anything else to say before I do the weekly plugs?
Oh wait, no, hold on. I'm gonna break my own rules. I have one more question that I missed. All right, my last question is from Nether Evapiro, and he asks, and I have to answer this one because it's me. What are your thoughts on the HF novels? They seem to actually have a good story to them and a possible hint to a connection to G1 at the beginning of the Doom box. Okay, first of all, I don't think those were great beings in the Doom box. I think that was just Greg using the trope of hooded beings with like a powerful object. It's not exactly Bionicle specific in its usage. But short and sweet, HF novels were the best storytelling that HF ever had because Greg knows how to do characterization. And my thoughts on them is I wish Greg had been in charge of the whole story. He wasn't. He just did the books. Because of that, HF's story sucked. I think he was building towards something interesting in his side story, And the fact that the side story is more engaging than the main story is a shame. C'est la vie. Greg's a good writer. Go encourage him on the message boards. So you want the G1 story back? Respectfully. That's what I'll say. You guys think we're joking about that, but like we're not, you know. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Eljay Johnson show, but he did say that he's open to the concept. One of the reasons he never went back to it is because he got a little bit burned out of all the negativity. He was depressed by it ending, and over time, people stopped posting on the BZ Power talkback threads as much, and he just kind of lost the inspiration to keep going because he thought nobody cared anymore. Coupled with his own sadness towards the theme ending, but like, if you want it back, just go encourage him. Say you would follow it if it came back. Just saying. Now that's all. And no, I don't have anything else before plugs.
Okay, cool. All right, let me set up for this one. Okay. Obviously enough, I mentioned it during the episode, but we do have the TTV messenger boards. That's board.ttvchannel.com. You have to be 13 years or older to be a member on the site, and if we do find out that you aren't 13 or older, you will be banned until you are. Or permanently. It's going to depend. Bunch of stuff on the message boards. As we mentioned, Greg Farshty is there. We also have a topic currently up. I really am trying to push this top 10 TTV channel moments of 2019. You go to the topic and you post your favorite moment from either this channel or the Nerfed channel with a timestamp, time frame of the moment specifically, and then we will consider it to add to a poll that we will have next month to make a top 10 list with. So that's a lot of fun. Additionally, because YouTube is going the way of the dodo, we have Patreon, which in hindsight, the Patreon logo in white against a bright blue background was not something I thought through all too well, so I'll move it next time, but it's patreon.com/the-TTV-channel. As low as $1 a month, and you get access to the TTV Patreon server on Discord. And we are working toward a stretch goal of 100 patrons to open up a Minecraft server full-time. There'll be a faction server on the island of Motunui. So it's a lot of fun. Can certainly encourage that as well. Outside of that, there's just Twitter at the TTV channel on Twitter. Additionally, our individual ones at Messanak and at the Eljay Johnson. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. And that'll be about it. That's everything.
All right. Another excellent episode of Nak and Jay. Thank you very much, Elj. I don't know what we'll talk about next week. We'll figure something out.
We've got a slew of different topics we can talk about. I mean, we can.
Maybe next week we'll bridge into Bionicle proper.
I mean, yeah, there's a
Stop
lot.
talking about the meta.
We have a lot here, so we can figure it out.
Yup.
So,
all right.
Another, what is it? Another legend to add to our wall. Is that how it goes?
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
Tell me when to hit the music.
You're good. All right. Thank you all for watching. We streamed this live from a sandy beach. I'm Messanak.
I'm Eljay.
And this was Nak and Jay, episode 3 about Bionicle. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one.
Farewell.